Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you wherever you are in the world. President Cyril Ramaphosa was unexpectedly ambushed during his official visit to the United States of America. The American President, Donald Trump, along with his team, carefully set up an elaborate ambush for the South African President, Cyril Ramaphosa. And unfortunately, the gentleman ultimately fell into the cleverly orchestrated trap. He was trapped. But it must be said that this great man handled it very well. What just happened will go down in history. They wanted to humiliate him. They wanted to do to Cyril Ramaphosa what they didn't even do to Zelensky. The Oval Office was packed. The Vice President, Elon Musk, and journalists were there. Donald Trump was having an ongoing conversation with President Cyril Ramaphosa. In the meantime, he abruptly interrupted him and then proceeded to start playing a number of different things that further supported the evidence America already has against Cyril Ramaphosa. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, for some time now, things have not been going well between South Africa and the United States of America. How did it all start? It all started with the Americans claiming that white farmers in South Africa are victims of discrimination and that South Africans are sending many of them to their eternal rest. You know, this matter or issue of white farmers and indigenous people actually began historically even before the Mandela era, and it continued into Mandela's time. This is one of the reasons that created so many difficulties for Nelson Mandela. These white farmers are still there, but today their situation is dire. Their land is being taken back from them. In other words, South Africa is doing whatever it wants. And when America wants to speak up, South Africa responds. Cyril Ramaphosa says that these are our own laws. We are sovereign, we make decisions as we see fit. South Africa has regulated the land issue. The land is being returned to the indigenous people. In a show of sovereignty, South Africa is in the process of reclaiming its land. It must be said that South Africa is truly marginalizing those people there. And this really hurts America. This is the reason why, for the next G20 summit scheduled to be held in South Africa, America has decided to boycott. They said that they would not go, primarily because the Pretoria regime, that is the South African government, still holds a grudge against them. So we don't know by what miracle President Cyril Ramaphosa somehow inexplicably managed to arrange a personal meeting, a visit, with Donald Trump. The American government remained silent about this visit and did not announce it. South Africa also did not mention it. Yet in reality, Donald Trump was seriously preparing with his entire team. They printed several copies as their evidence. They prepared videos. Donald Trump asked for a television to be installed in the Oval Office, as you can see. Let's go a little deeper before coming back. Let's go deeper, ladies and gentlemen. What happened is very serious. Very, very serious. So, what needs to be said is that Cyril Ramaphosa, he came. First of all, it should be noted that South Africa is part of the BRICS. When we talk about BRICS, we have Brazil, India, Russia, China, and South Africa. Cyril Ramaphosa is one of Vladimir Putin's best friends, one of his closest friends. So he wants to mend the tensions that exist between America and South Africa. He is coming. And as we know him for his skills as a good negotiator, since back in Nelson Mandela's time, he played a very important role during Nelson Mandela's era. He was the chief negotiator for Nelson Mandela's African National Congress, ANC, during the talks aimed at ending white minority rule in the early 1990s. He played a major role. So today, he was put to the test. And Donald Trump and his team wanted to diminish him as much as possible and to completely erase those negotiation skills for which history knows him from public memory. And Cyril Ramaphosa, his intention is to repair his country's fractured relations with the United States of America. So Donald Trump set a trap for his counterpart. They continued talking. He interrupted him. He played a video. This is a video in which you can clearly see white farmers fleeing from their homes and land. Yes, it shows entire families, parents and children together, leaving everything behind. These are videos that, according to Donald Trump, depict entire families of white farmers being forced to flee, highlighting the seriousness of the situation. Yes, fleeing away from their land and their homes, and you see them being forcibly and tragically expropriated. You see some of them falling, white farmers falling, and then in the Oval Office, Donald Trump says they are sending them to their eternal rest. I don't want to say the exact word. The word that means sending them to eternal rest, final rest. They are sending them to their eternal rest. That's the word Donald Trump used while it was playing. So he didn't even give Cyril Ramaphosa time or a chance to speak. Donald Trump said, "These are white farmers fleeing South Africa, and it's very sad to see." He said, "But I hope we can get an explanation about this, because I know you don't want that." And he was speaking to Cyril Ramaphosa as if they were in a courtroom, as if Cyril was standing before Trump's justice, who was supposed to judge him and make the final decision. But what's going on? Cyril Ramaphosa tried several times to speak without success. He wasn't given the chance to speak without success. He tried several times, and calmly he tried to respond calmly. He didn't lose his temper like Zelensky had to. Calmly. But no, he wasn't given the chance, to the point that Cyril Ramaphosa went on to say, he said, "Nelson Mandela taught us that when there is a problem, people should sit around a table and talk about it." But he wasn't given the time, not at all. So Donald Trump even went so far as to hand out printed copies, showing the elements he was defending there, sent to their eternal rest. All of this was shown to him. Here is what happened at the White House in the Oval Office on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. But in the end, Cyril Ramaphosa managed to get out of this trap. He just kept smiling until a strange conversation took place. Donald Trump asked, "But what was Zelensky doing in the United States of America?" He said, "Last time I wanted to call him on the phone. I didn't reach him. Afterwards, I was told he was in South Africa." They started laughing in the room. Then they continued. After that, Cyril Ramaphosa left. Most of the debate was in English. Well, for now, we haven't had the full translation. We will have the opportunity to come back to some other points. But already what must be said, dear ladies and gentlemen, is that others are accusing Cyril Ramaphosa of having... Why did he even go to see him? Why is he going to explain himself in front of Donald Trump? Brother, we are dealing with geopolitics. Politics is a game of interests. There are no eternal adversaries. There are no eternal friends in politics. Cyril Ramaphosa knows exactly what he is doing in his own country. It's the art of manipulation. The very same thing that Vladimir Putin does is exactly what Cyril must do as well. Putin is accused of committing truly terrible atrocities in Ukraine while he is actively bombing over there, and at the very same time Donald Trump is actually extremely eager to call him on the phone while they are still talking. In fact, yes. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin is bombing efficiently. Afterwards, when questioned, he presents his arguments. The main thing is, what he wants to do, he is doing it. Cyril Ramaphosa did nothing wrong. We live in a multipolar world where we shouldn't live in isolation. He finished his performance. So everyone understood that Donald Trump violated diplomatic protocol by trying to humiliate him, but unfortunately, he did not succeed. South Africa is therefore sending a very strong message. And what Ramaphosa is doing right now will help South Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, for now, this is what we can take away from this topic. Thanks for sharing it. There you go. Handle it as best you can. There you have it. I'll be back with more news for you shortly. This was the voice of your one and only samurai.